Park the mower and grab a beer. This is Pete's Garage. I'm Dan Bozon. This week, Fred time. I don't know, he said. Might be tough getting around to it this week, now that we finally got decent golf weather. Fred the contractor was non-committal. And then, of course, I go to Canada for my fishing trip next week, he continued. Maybe he'd get around to resurfacing my deck, and maybe he wouldn't. Fred wasn't about to be pinned down by me or anyone. Maybe sometime after Father's Day, closer to the end of the month, he offered. Might be able to get to it then. It was maddening. Of course, he continued, if you got somebody else ready to do the work, then go right ahead. It won't hurt my feelings. This wasn't some negotiating ploy on Fred's part. He was totally serious. He'd be just fine if somebody else did the work. Fred works on Fred's time, and no one else's. Take it or leave it. Why, you may wonder, do I put up with this? Well, 3 reasons. 1, Fred does excellent work. 2, he charges very reasonable prices for his excellent work. And 3, do you know how hard it is to find a contractor who does good work at a good price and doesn't totally screw you in the process? Take your time, Fred. Of course, I'd love it if you kept a regular schedule. I'd really appreciate it if you'd commit to starting a project on a certain date, then actually kept that commitment. And it would be great if I didn't have to call you every other day to find out if you still had any intention of doing my project at all. That would be very helpful. But I get it. Fred time. Even though it frustrates the hell out of me. See, guys as mechanically inept as I am are at the mercy of the Freds of the world. Contractors, mechanics, plumbers, whoever. I have to accept that. All the more reason I tolerate Fred. Or, more accurately, I try to give Fred ample reason to tolerate me. And if you're Fred, you couldn't be in a better position, could you? Think about it. He works only by referral. All his clients come pre-screened. No assholes allowed. How did I make the cut? I know a guy whose house Fred built. He's a Fred A-lister. When I asked the guy last summer to recommend a contractor for a variety of projects on my house, he immediately suggested Fred. He's a little quirky, my friend had said, but he's the best out there. A few weeks later, after Fred had played in a couple of golf tournaments and taken a vacation, he showed up at my house, unannounced. I had no idea he was coming. I went out to the backyard where he and one of his guys were repouring the footings for one of my decks. "Who are you?" he asked me, visibly irritated with the interruption. I'm Dan," I said. "This is my house." It was like I was apologizing. "Oh, well, okay," Fred replied, as though my being there was an irritant he'd simply have to accept. I got the message and left him alone, and I'm glad I did. He did a fantastic job. In addition to working with only a select number of pre-screened clients, Fred only does the projects he wants. After I got to know him a little, I cautiously shared my list of other projects with which I wanted his help. "Nope," he said, "I'm not doing any of that, but check this out." He pulled his phone out of his pocket and showed me a picture of a huge 50-foot-long retaining wall he'd built for what had to be a $5 or $6 million house. It was gorgeous. "See that?" he asked me. "That's the stuff I'm working on." In other words, don't waste my time with your piddly shit. Okay, sorry, Fred. And while I have no idea what Fred made on the retaining wall, my friend's house, or any other project, I assume he did well. Besides all the golf and vacations, he drives a newish-looking F-150. You know, one of those trucks. One that looks like a simple working man's truck, but costs twice as much as my corporate dude Lexus. Yes, I assume Fred does quite well. So, to summarize, Fred works only when he wants. He works only with whom he wants. He works only on what he wants. And he gets paid well to do it. Game, set, and match. Me, I can't claim any of those things. I work for the man. I work when he wants, with whom he wants, on what he wants, and get paid what he decides. There's nothing I do that is so valuable that I could work like Fred, and that's a little concerning. Without some sort of differentiated offering, I'm just a commodity. Well, you say if you don't like it, do something about it. It's all within your power. Just reinvent yourself. So say the self-help books. and celebrities like P. Diddy and Madonna. The trouble is, I'm not sure you can just flip a switch and poof, become a Fred. That's because Fred himself didn't become a Fred overnight. My guess is he spent decades mastering his craft, getting progressively better, gathering insights with each new project on what works and what doesn't. He's figured out over the course of years which jobs play best to his core skills and allow him opportunities to differentiate himself. And he's learned, sometimes the hard way, that certain types of clients should be avoided no matter what they're willing to pay. That's how Fred became Fred. So, what's that mean for the rest of us? The non-Freds? I suppose the best any of us can do is to find a way to add value, whatever the hell that means. Rock on, Fred. You impress me. And yes, you infuriate me. Now, about my deck. Call me, please. Thanks for listening. You can check out other episodes and stories from the Pete's Garage blog over at the website, danbozon.com. That's DANBOZUNG.com.